Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite Review Modcast. This episode of Dynamite is brought to you by moi, Adam Blondhog, and I am joined, as I am every week, by the too many adjectives to possibly pick one. Dory, please introduce yourself to the audience, the faithful.
I choose to take that as a compliment. Anyway, I'm
You
really
shouldn't.
glad that we're going to be talking about the I'm so sorry. That says dynamite. That doesn't say. Oh, never mind. I thought we were talking about something else. Never mind. No, we're talking about dynamite, of course. What else would we be
I
talking about?
I,
Nothing.
I have I have absolutely no idea what you could possibly be referring to here.
Yeah. No, sorry. Just the words look so similar. It's an easy mistake to make.
Of course, yes, we would absolutely be talking about what was it again? Do help me out here.
But April 9th edition of Dynamite.
That's the one. Though I gotta be honest, I could absolutely go in for a podcast about you know, the show that aired in the 80s, starring people like John Forsyth and Joan Collins. I could go for that. Um, I love the Carringtons. Um, I have no idea if that will land with anyone that's listening here, but that's fine. Sometimes you just do jokes for yourself. Um,
That's my life
but
motto. So
yeah, I mean, you have truly lived it.
I have.
Let nobody take away from you that you have crafted a humor specifically for yourself and nobody else.
I do it to pop myself. It's true.
And you're so good at it. Congratulations. Honestly, we should all strive to be less like, more like you. Um, but regardless, we should probably get into this. We sort of talked before the podcast of like, oh well, we didn't do a dynasty review. That's my fault, by the way. I've had a week, which is underselling it by many orders of magnitude. But it is what it is. So yeah, we did do a dynasty review. I'm not sure there was much appetite for it, to be honest. But regardless, we can talk a little bit about it in conjunction with what happened on this show. And we should probably start at the beginning, by the way, because that is the main talking point coming out of Dynasty, and it's probably the main talking point on this show, which is the sort of main event angle going forward. What did you think of this? I'll let you lead because I've been talking a lot and my voice is getting a bit scratchy.
I thought this was great. I loved the line of, you know, you guys are new to this, you're new to this board, but you have no idea what game you're playing or some shit like that. I quoted it on Blue Sky, but it was a really good line. The promo in general was good. Obviously, I would love it if somebody like watched that, and I'm sure somebody did watch that and get really mad. And it's like, no, Mox, it's because you cheat all the time. It's not because they don't want it, you asshole. And it's like, yeah, that's the point. He's a hypocrite. He's a heel. He's a villain. Like he's supposed to, he's supposed to make you upset and lie. It was like that time where like I think Jericho said something, and people were like, well, that's not true. And I'm like, yeah, you think he's a fucking heel? He's lying. Anyway. But it was a great promo.
No, no,
And you
don't you
stumbled onto
know?
the board, but don't know what the game is. That's just a cold ass line. I love it.
It really is. But don't you know that we live in the universe of like the? Have you ever seen the film The Invention of Lying? Where it's like
I
nobody
have
ever
not.
lies, and then nobody ever lies, and then all of a sudden, someone someone invents lying. I think it's Ricky Gervais, so you probably shouldn't watch it. Um, you know, whatever. But it's like, yeah, people have never heard a person lie before, let alone a character on a show, let alone a character who is supposed to be the bad guy on the show. What the fuck do you want from him? Oh, whatever.
Right?
If this show goes down bad with the 1% of very emotional internet wrestling accounts, I could not give any less of a toss at this point. I really like this angle. I loved the integration of all the top stories, in the company, whether they're top in terms of reception. I don't, whatever. The numbers don't lie. But the top in terms of presentation. of, Omega and Okada, of the Young Bucks, of Swerve, who, by the way, if anyone worried that, Swerve has been buried by this, they don't care about him, listen to this crowd when he comes out and like, the entire thing stops because the crowd are chanting for Swerve too fucking loud to carry on.
Yeah. I love people who are like, "Oh my God, Swerve is so," because there are people like that who are saying like, "Oh my God, Swerve is buried. Swerve is such a loser now. He lost him all. He lost to like 5 different people, by the way. And it took like 5 fucking people for him to lose. But and then also like it's deafening how loud they're chanting for him. It's also deafening how loud they are booing for Moxley. So I mean, I'm not saying anyone has to like the angle. You feel how you feel. But if you don't think this angle is working, I feel like it's working on you. You know what I mean? And that doesn't make it good. That doesn't make it bad. And you're allowed to have your own opinions about it. But it's absolutely having its intended effect to some degree. Some people, I'm sure, are like, "Oh, I'm never watching AEW again." Whatever. Like, who cares? Like, they'll be okay. Like, they get hundreds of thousands of people every day. But like,
It's the funniest thing when it is quite possibly the worst pet peeve that I have at the moment, of people who express an opinion and then people express an opposite opinion, and then the first person says, "Oh, so I'm not allowed to state what I think. Oh, so you just think everyone should agree with you and that there's no room for debate." Like, no, fuck off. It's getting to the point where I genuinely sort of think, yeah, you know what? If you want to play the victim all the time, I will give you a reason to be the victim. Shut the
yeah,
fuck
I
up
was
and
just
never
about to
speak
say,
again.
like, I didn't think that before, but now I do.
Yeah, like, oh, I don't know. Just that there are people and there are concepts that I could go off on right now, but I shan't. We should probably talk about the match in the middle of these sort of convergent stories. You had John Moxley versus Katsuhiro Shibata. Um, there's not a lot to say about the match itself. I think it went about 5 minutes. I was shocked that it went 5 minutes. Don't get me wrong. I think if they knew what was going to happen afterwards, they probably would have given it maybe a few more minutes. But obviously, hindsight is 2020. There's no way you
Yeah,
could predict
I
what was
wish
going
they
to
had given
happen.
this more time. I liked what I saw, but it needed at least another like 10 minutes or so. Not that I expected Shibata to win, but
Hmm.
I would have liked this to have more time. It was definitely like probably one of the most disappointing things on the show. And like there wasn't a lot of things to be disappointed in, so it's pretty easy. It wasn't a bad match, but it's just like
No,
I don't really know why we had like you could have had such a hard hitting angle with Shibata or match with Shibata and Mox, and they kind of
yeah,
did, but it ended up to like what 5 minutes.
yeah. My sort of feeling on this is if they do a bigger, longer, more impactful match in like a couple of weeks as a part of this angle, I won't be down on this at all, sort of like as a teaser thing. If this is the one and done between Mox and Shibata in this feud, then I will look back and think, oh, that was a waste. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, I do.
But
I agree.
as it stands, it's like it happens. If it's to serve a bigger thing, then sure, go for it. Show me what you got. But then at the end of this, I will look back at this and think, well, did it serve its purpose? Or was it just a bit of a throwaway? And if it was a bit of a throwaway, well, that's a shame because Boxers Yabata could absolutely put on an instant classic if you gave them the time and the impetus to go out and do it. So it is what it is. We'll see what happens with that. But like I say, they weaved in the story of Omega and Okada because obviously that's the elite drama as well. Um, Omega cut a promo as only he can, I think is fair to say, where he just stands there, he's chill. I know he's straight edge, but it's the sort of promo where I'm like, you take something before the thing, bud. Because he just
Uh,
he just stood there. He has natural stone eyes. I think Kenny Omega does.
I'm not going to mention anybody's name, but I think it's so funny that Kenny is straight edge. But anyway, um, so I'm not mentioning anyone's name, so no one can accuse me of anything. But yeah, this was a great promo. I know that some people were online fucking complaining about it because it was weird. I have news for you about one Kenneth Omega. He is a straight. He's a weird guy. Like I don't know. I don't know what to tell you to someone who almost exclusively focuses their life on basically like gymnastics mixed with weightlifting mixed with Showtime theater. Like
An
he's
anime.
not a
And
normal, and I say this with all the love in the world because of course Kenny Omega, one of the goats, if not the goat. Not exactly a well-adjusted person, but all he did really was he went off on this um like story about these two Shih Tzus. I love that he said Shih Tzu. And that would poop all over the floor, and the guy would never clean it up, and the part would get stinkier and stinkier. And Kenny's like, "Can we just take this to my place?" And it's such a ridiculous story, but it fits with Kenny's like laid back attitude about it. Like he's just talking to two friends who are he's completely disappointed and over with, right? Like he even came out and you're like, oh my God, Kenny is so over these assholes. I popped big when he came out. I didn't expect Kenny to come out. I wasn't sure when or if ever they were going to address. I knew they were eventually, of course, because the league drama, which is what I live for, by the way. But yeah, I wasn't sure when it was going to happen, but I'm glad it did.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, there's a bit in this thing. I will question one thing about the promo, which I get. It's Kenny. He's goofy. But if Chris Jericho, spoilers by the way for later in the show, if Chris Jericho could drop an F bomb in the show, you can say shit instead of Dookie, Kenneth. Like, I don't know. I get
I
that
think
it
he's
fits
just a big Green Day fan. That's what I think it is.
entirely possible, and you know, I do have the time to listen to him rhyme, but you know, I have no idea whether you'll get that reference. I mean, you dropped a Dookie reference. You probably should know the main song off the album.
Yes, I do. I've listened to the early Green Day albums many times.
They're so, they're so good. I love Green Day so much.
I
This
also
is not a
enjoy
gr-
them.
This is not a Green Day fucking podcast, Adam. Um,
It's so funny also that I like them given their name and everything else. But yeah, they're a great band. I love their I think up until Warning, I think Warning is when I start dropping off their stuff. I mean, American Idiot obviously has some bangers, but uh yeah, I basically kind of lose them around Warning. Which actually itself is a fun song, but yeah. Anyway, this is not a
yeah,
Green Day podcast.
no, it is not. But I don't know. What were we saying? You've completely
We were
killed my
talking
train of thought
about
now.
Kenny doing a promo, and then yeah, so Kenny's basically gonna come up to the ring. He's like, "I'm gonna kick both your asses," and then the fucking
Yes,
coin drops.
and then the coin drops, which is everything I could ever want. Because I'm so fucking excited about this match. It's good. Like, I'm gonna put 10 toes down on this. It should main event the show. It should main event All In. I know that you have, probably Osprey versus Mox on that show, probably Mercedes versus Athena, Tony versus Chris, etc. All good. Well, we'll see. It could be Chris, could be Jamie, could be even Mercedes or Athena. We don't know. But well, regardless, all brilliant matches. There should only be one of them that main events, though, and it's Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also think it should be the main event. I don't really think so. Like, I went back, I think a couple years, maybe it was last year or the year before. I finally watched it was last year because I had an NJPW subscription because of Wrestle Kingdom around January, so it was very early 2024, and I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm finally gonna check out all the matches between Okada and Kenny. Like they were just, I mean, obviously they were incredible. I think you have to main event it with these two. I think Kenny is or has already, I don't know, elevated it to main event stat. I mean, he was the semi-main on the last pay-per-view. So I mean, he's basically already there. Just give him another pay-per-view, which conveniently we have. So I think, yeah, I definitely think him and Okada can main event. Absolutely.
Especially if it's for, as they're speculating, the unification of the international and continental championships. Like,
Yeah, and
I,
I
the
can't
the
want people
speculation.
to fucking complain. Oh my god, they're just copying WWE. Fucking New Japan had an intercontinental title, and it was one of the best things they ever did.
Yeah, bring back the fucking
The
intercontinental.
white belt
What
looks
are they
so
calling it
good. It
now?
looks so good.
What are they calling it now? The global championship. Like,
Yeah, I think
because
it's the global wrestling. I think Jeff Jarrett's in control of it. If I'm going to be real with you, But
Honestly, the degradation of New Japan's belt should be studied.
it
Like,
really should be. I can't believe I just made a forces joke in 2025. Anyway, so the coin drops, and then Okada comes out. I'm freaking out. And then fucking Whose House comes out, Swerve comes out with a chair to even up the odds. And of course, they're
yeah,
cowardly heels. Because people will be like, oh, well, they're outnumbered. Why are they running away? Well, Swerve, first off, and also Kenny, and then also a chair. So it's like kind of equal. Um,
and
Plus, they're
also the
shit heels.
cowards.
I mean, they're literally
Yeah,
cowardly heels. They talked about, they did their promo. We skipped over this. They did their promo where they explained why they did what they did. I liked the Hangman angle that they said they did it for Hangman because they know that he doesn't want Swerve to be champ, so they did it for him. So I like that. It's manipulative as fuck, and I enjoy that in my elite storytelling. And then the second reason was what I figured it was. It's appeasement. They're trying to get on the good side of the Death Riders. They're trying to get on, they're trying to make sure that they don't beat the shit out, that the Death Riders don't beat the shit out of them, basically. So I like the reasoning. I thought it made a lot of sense. And I think that's all there really is to say.
yeah, absolutely. And I love the line that Swerve says where he's like, "It's buck hunting season," which is
Yeah, that
great.
was good shit. I got Elmer Fudd flashbacks.
Absolutely. We're hunting rabbits. But yeah, so then Pac comes out, which I love, love. This is quite so obviously a Tony Khan specialty invention. Well, not invention, but co-option of his, where he is a big mark for ECW. He has always been a massive mark for ECW, and he has integrated these sort of flowing segments where one flows into the other, flows into the other. So
Yes.
obviously, Pac attacks Swerve, and we go straight into the match that was announced for the show, which is Pac versus Swerve. I love that. Give me all of that. I'd love to just have a Birdman esque Dynamite um, sort of 1 week where it's just one continuous shot. I don't know if that's even technically possible. I guess not with like adverts and stuff, but you could
No, I,
absolutely
I
do
think
like,
I think the cameramen should all be held accountable. I don't think that would happen. So
yeah. They should all be fired. They're awful.
yeah, pretty much. Or firing squad, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, then again though, AEW doesn't have that sort of money. It's broke. It's dying.
That's right. They're going out of business, bro. They're not making it to Boston, unfortunately. They're
Yeah.
advertising for a show that's not even going to happen. Big 2019 energy.
Oh Jesus Christ! Yeah, remember that. But
Thank God I wasn't watching wrestling back then.
oh Jesus, yeah, I wasn't either. I hear it wasn't a good time, but
It was
you know,
apparently not. I don't know either.
uh,
But yeah,
pandemic.
this was a great segment in total. I loved it. This was one of my favorite parts of the show. I thought this was incredible.
Yeah,
It's obviously setting up. Well, I guess they said blood and guts later on. I thought at first it was Anarchy in the Arena, but it looks like they're setting up blood and guts, which is probably, I don't know. I don't have a big opinion. They're all basically the same.
I
In terms of
I
like
sort of think
a big group match. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I sort of think that like they're not, they're probably not doing Anarchy in the Arena this year because All In is so close to Double or Nothing, and they
Right.
probably want to do Stadium Stampede. If they're going to have a stadium show in the US, they're going to do Stadium Stampede because, um, funnily enough, Stadium Stampede was something that was very much missing from Wembley this year. Like they did it the first year, and it was great. I just remember Mox spiking himself in the head, and also Sue. But regardless, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I should imagine that that's probably what they're going to do. If they're not doing Anarchy in the Arena, and if they set up Blood and Guts now, then they're probably not doing it. Then I should imagine the direction they go in is Stadium Stampede for whatever factions are appropriate at that point. Um, but yeah, that's something to be discussed in the future. We do sort of we have to discuss this match, unfortunately. Pac versus Swerve Strickland. It's oh, I feel so gutted for the man.
Somebody has put a curse on the bastard because this man cannot. You want to talk about Jay White not being able to catch a break? Well, I think arguably Pac is the unluckiest person in all of AEW There is not a man who, I mean, like you could say, like Kenny's been out for longer, but I feel like it's actually worse for Pac because if he's not in England, I don't know why, or he's got visa issues, or he's injured, or he's not, I don't, or like something else, personal issues, whatever. This dude is like just about to have one of those four things happen to him. It sucks because he's an amazing talent, but I mean, at this point, as much as I would love for Pac to be at top of the world, I mean, I see why TK has never done it. The man is just not consistent, and I hate saying that. I love Pac. And obviously, I'm not blaming him for visa issues or for injuries. That's not, or for personal issues, really. That's not his fault. But I mean, it's tough to put any kind of title on a person who is gonna have these many issues. You know what I mean? I mean, look at Top Flight. You know, they've never really recovered from getting injured off and on, off and on. So
Yeah, I was gonna
anyway,
say,
yeah.
when you were talking
Go
about
ahead.
when you were talking about the unluckiest people in AEW, I kept
Yeah,
thinking,
Top Flight got to be up
like,
there. Yeah, you're right.
because people forget, like, Arias had a massive fucking car crash. Like, that took him out for like 9 months. And then when they get back, almost immediately Dante snaps his leg on pay-per-view. And it's like, oh my god. How unlucky can you get? But regardless, that's neither here nor there. We'll briefly talk about this match. There's not much to talk about because they were just getting into it.
You know
Some
what's
a
bad
little bit of
too? I heard Pac as soon as the buckle bomb hit. I heard him go
yeah,
and I was
yeah.
like,
You hear
oh,
him scream.
I was like, oh, that's such a good sell. I'm like looking at the camera right now, like disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
Like fucking Office Space or some shit. Sorry, the American version of Office Space. Or not Office, The Office. Excuse me.
I
I get the
I knew what
movie
you
and the
meant.
yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I thought he was just selling the buckle bomb, but he was not, and people think he twisted his ankle or maybe I don't know. I hope it's nothing major. I hope he can come back. You know, I kind of say this with some bitterness, but it's not like the Death Riders defend their trios title all the time anyway. Like they've been better lately, don't get me wrong, but it's not like they defend it all the time. You could extend it out all the way till All In, give Pac a couple months to recover, and then just do a one-off and just have the Ops win at All In. So
Yeah. I don't know. I it could happen. First of all, it could be a moot point. Maybe he just twisted his ankle and out of an abundance of caution, they stopped the match. Maybe he's
right,
back in a couple of weeks. That is the best case scenario here.
yes,
But the man has had ankle injuries before. He
right.
broke. I think it was against Chris Jericho in WWE, where I think it was just a
Yes,
standard
it
like.
was, and the ref didn't know what was going on, so Jericho had
Yeah,
to
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
like shout at him.
But that was just on like I got a feeling it was just an international. The standard, leapfrog, duck under or whatever. Or it was something. It was just
Yeah, he
something
pulled a Shane
easy like
McMahon.
that. Yeah, and he just snapped his ankle, and like so the man has history in that department. I just hope for that whatever deity there is or isn't that like he's gonna be okay, and that it's nothing serious and he's not out for a long time because Jesus Christ, this man cannot he cannot catch a break to save his life. Oh, it's depressing, but best wishes to him. Please be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Oh,
So yeah, I all the best to Pac. I hope he's okay. But yeah, this match, I'm not gonna say positive. I'm not gonna say negative. I mean, or if I would at least say negative. But um, yeah, that was the match pretty much. Unfortunately, swear he got credit to Pac. He finished the match anyway. I'm not sure that he should have, but he did, and he got swerve
well, they
stomp.
did. Luckily, Swerve's offense is such that he could take whatever Swerve's
Yes.
finishes. Like he takes like a house call and a Swerve stomp, which neither of which require any pressure on the leg. So that was good at least. Um, but yeah, we can move on from that. You had a couple of
Yep.
backstage promos about the $400,000 match that comes up. I think it's next. In the thing. I love the one that the baby faces cut when they were just talking about what they
So
were
good. He's
gonna.
going to diversify his portfolio, which was somehow even up against Toni Storm was I think the match of the night.
Absolutely. Like, also, I love the fact that they were just going through. Will Ospreay is the most Will Ospreay answer possible, where he's just like, I'm going to go to Disney World, which is absolutely on brand for him. I
Yep.
love Speedball. What are you going to do, Speedy? And he's just like, I want to buy some shoes.
I'm poor. I can't even afford shoes. I love one of my favorite videos. I'm sure you've seen it many times. Is Osprey at Disney World, and he's just taking a video of himself, and he's like, oh, and he's just going around a ride. It's so good.
He's just a puppy dog that happens to be the best wrestler on the planet.
He's just
Like,
he's just a golden retriever.
yeah, honestly. And like, I can't remember what Kevin Knight said. Something about, I think he wanted to go to like Atlantic
He
City or something.
wanted to go to Magic City. I don't know what that is.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Was it Magic City? I don't know.
It was Magic
But,
City. I just watched the Simon Miller review. I have no idea what the
but good,
fuck Magic City is.
good for him. You go there, darling. Although
Oh,
it does.
it's a strip club.
Is it real?
At least it's a strip club in Georgia. I don't know.
Do you know what? You've earned it, my friend. Go and flash that 100K and have yourself a good time.
That checks out because he's from Georgia. Okay, so he was referencing a strip club.
Yeah, fair enough.
I did my Googling. I did my Googling, everybody.
Well done. Thank you. We don't have dedicated researchers. We just do it.
That's right. We just get out there, we pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, and we do it.
We are hard. Well, we're not hard working. We are working. Well, with people.
Yeah.
Barely.
And you know who else is a person? Hangman Adam Page.
Yes, he is. He is one of the most real people in wrestling. And I really want to talk about this segment. It was very brief, but it did so much. Because Renee Paquette, the remarkable Renee Paquette, she's tried to talk to Hangman, says, like, it's a wild card. How are you preparing for a wild card? And Hangman's like, it's a fucking wild card. How do you think I'm preparing? I don't know. But he storms past me. I'm looking for someone. He storms past it into Swerve Strickland's locker room, and immediately I was watching on my laptop, so I sort of slouched down watching. As soon as I saw that, I immediately, legitimately, just sat up, like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, exactly.
So like he gets into the locker room. Swerve's not there, but Prince Nana is, and Hangman, all hopped up on piss and vinegar. He is trying to. He says to Nana in his very angry way that he was not trying to help Swerve at Dynasty. Don't get it twisted. And if Swerve interferes in any of his matches, then I think he said I'll pick up where I left off. Which
yes, he did.
For anyone who missed it, where he left off was stabbing him with a syringe and smashing him in the head with a steel chair. So a valid threat, I would say.
Yes.
But then, as Swerve is not Swerve. Sorry, I'm very good at this whole podcasting thing, aren't I?
I get it. No. It was like they're two sides of the same coin. I get it. It was thematic.
Yeah, exactly.
It was cinematic parallels.
Oh, they're two men after each other's heart. They really are.
That's right. Literally after each other's hearts.
Yeah, honestly, just rip each other out. But as Hangman's leaving, Nana stops him and says, "Hey, I just want to say after everything, I just want to apologize." And Hangman's like, "No, don't you fucking dare! You don't get to do that.
You don't get that. Oh my god, what a fucking lie! You don't get that. What a great fucking it. Hangman doesn't have to say a lot. He's such a good actor, and he's such a good just communicator, and just so good with his words that he doesn't have to say a lot, unlike me, who is stumbling over hers. But yeah, Hangman's amazing at this, and that hit me right in the feels. Like, you don't get that.
Yeah, it's incredible storytelling. Like, you want to talk about wrestlers who could potentially move into the acting industry when they're done? Hangman, for me, is really close to the top of the list because his ability, like you say, to tell those stories with very little, in terms of words or anything like that, just his emotional acting range is stellar work. It really is. And like this promo was excellent because it's the next step in Hangman sort of redemption in terms of like, he's saying to Nana, you don't get that because he's sort of saying, well, no, I don't take my apology away from me because that's the next step in his redemption. I think eventually you are going to get the very emotional apology that finally Hangman has been bubbling up for months. You know, regarding Swerve Strickland, you're going to get that, and it's going to be magical. And I cannot wait. These two remain the best story that AEW has ever told for my money.
Yeah.
But yeah, excellent stuff. And then we get into the match of the night, which I'm so happy to talk about. This single-handedly just restored my faith in. Well, not that I lost much faith in wrestling, but this was like a shot in the arm for me. I was like, oh, we're so fucking back. This match, it was like I said before, the $400,000 match of Mark Briscoe, Will Ospreay, Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight versus Ricochet, Beast Mortos, and the Crew. And I like the Crew. Just to preface this, I'd say this is match of the night. This was all my love for wrestling. I like the Crew. I'm not entirely sure what they were doing here, but that's fine. I guess you needed another two people. I'm not sure they were who I would have necessarily chosen, but always nice to see the C minds, I guess. I don't know what you think though.
Yeah, no, I mean, this was an incredible match. My only regret is that Beast Mortos really needed that money so he could start defending a little more higher profile cases, but he'll have to do with what he can. There's a guy in a red suit I think can help Beast Mortos out with his lawyering. But anyway, so this was really good. I said on Blue Sky, AEW's at its best when it's just secretly or not so secretly 3 PWGs, Pro Wrestling Guerrillas, in a trench coat. And this was 4 PWGs in a trench coat. This was so good. This had some of the best people who were on the pay-per-view: Ospreay, Bailey, Briscoe, and Knight versus Ricochet, the Crew, and Mortos. I mean, just a who's who of all-star talent. And it just absolutely delivered. It was a really great TV match. I would go back and watch it. I really enjoyed it. One of my favorite spots was when, and Adam, you may have already said this and I missed it, but when they fucking all jumped at each other, and then Ricochet was like, "Now's my time to shine," and everybody just gets out of the way, just spreads out, and he's just like, "Oh shit." And everybody just goes bald and just slaps him on the head. I fucking laughed. I was like, that by itself increased the match by a star. It was so good.
Yeah, like even aside from the incredible athleticism of everyone in this match, because all four people hit like picture perfect dives when and it's like, oh, incredible stuff. And then obviously Ricochet, he does that front flip, he lands on his feet. I jump off like, I don't know, a step, and I nearly twist my ankle. And there's him, he does like a 10-foot dive out of the ring, and he lands on his feet. And just the shot of everyone behind him, they sort of lick their hands and they're about, they're sort of looking over there, and he turns around and he's going bald and slap him right in the head. Oh, it's a comedy. It's like comedy wrestling at its finest, but also incredible feats of athleticism to boot. It's like you say, it is PWG distilled to its purest essence on national television. Like it is absolutely what AEW was built on, and it's one of those matches that restores. They talk about restoring the feeling. That right there, this match is the feeling because it's
That's
like
right.
nearly 15 minutes of incredible skill and wrestling ability, a bit of funny comedy, which nobody. I genuinely think nobody does comedy quite like AEW in wrestling because
Mm.
I've watched other promotions try to do comedy, and Jesus Christ. But I think what makes AEW comedy different to other promotions comedy is that it is very well integrated into the wrestling. A lot of times, like this spot, like there have been others. Like I always laugh when MJF, yells out like, "What the fuck?" is he's taking some sort of.
So good.
I
That's one
was
of my. I said this last night. It's one of my favorite parts of the 4-way match at Double or Nothing between all the pillars.
yeah yeah
I just there's even like a compilation of every time MJF fucking yells his heart out to get over everybody else's moves. Like it's so good.
absolutely. I always think of Darby. He does that sort of front flip stunner thing. He's just going over the top. I think as he's going over, it's either in his singles match at Full Gear or it's in that 4-way. And Darby just flips over him and just goes, "Holy fuck!" Bang!
It's so
Oh, so
funny.
good.
Yeah.
It's so good. But yeah, this match was incredible. The babyface team gets the win after they all hit their finishes on Beef Mortos, which I was surprised at because I figured if the crew are in this match, surely one of them is taking the pin. But no, apparently it was poor old Beast Mortos, who is
I think they're
amazing.
still continuing the trend of like whoever takes the pin is the one that TK really. This is kind of backwards to me, but I think it shows that TK really cares in a weird way. Not that I necessarily agree with it, but I think what he's doing is he wants to give the person the highlight by taking the pin and showing that like they matter. But like I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but I think that because that's what he does with the ROH titles too. Excuse me. People who have the ROH titles usually get pinned, but then they usually move up to bigger and better things, right? So
Yeah.
like with Kyle Fletcher, like probably with Commander, when he and Hologram eventually win those tag titles. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Say the
that's
name. Say the name, Dory. You racist.
Titanas Diaras.
I mean, that was closer than what you did last time. Um,
Improving. I'm improving.
Dreadful. You should be ashamed of yourself. It is Los Titanes del Aire,
Oh my God, Del Ira. Okay.
like Buenos Aires.
Oh yeah, like the Gulf Coast, the Gulf of America.
You could. Oh Jesus Christ. Um,
Sorry, the
no,
joke came to me.
no. It's not even on the Gulf of Mexico.
All right, let's move on.
It's like 2,000 miles away.
I was
There's a
just
whole
trying to make a Trump joke. God damn it.
there's a whole fucking Brazil in the way, Dory.
Whatever. Brazil mentioned. Let's go, Brazil.
um, right. Where are my notes?
The Hurt Syndicate.
No. First of all, they had FTR. They recapped FTR.
That's right. They
Being
recapped FTR. Goddamn, one of the best parts of the fucking pay per view.
being fucking bastards and murdering Adam Copeland. So congratulations, I guess. You murdered a 50-plus old man. You should be very proud of yourselves. Tony Schiavone, by the way, absolutely tore into Dax.
Yeah.
He basically
Your
just said,
daughter is ashamed of you. I was like, whoa.
yeah, yeah, honestly, he just sat there on commentary and basically just went, "You fucking sons of bitches, come find me, pieces of shit."
Pull up.
Honestly, it was like, holy shit, Tony, calm down. They've murdered one old man. They won't hesitate to do it again. Fucking
That's
hell.
right.
Um, but yeah, like you say, then the Hurt Syndicate. You're getting ahead of yourself there. But yeah, the Hurt Syndicate come out for a celebration. I really appreciate MVP pouring liquor into a champagne glass. That is absolutely something I'm going to start emulating. Um, Thank you for the idea, Montel, even though I know you don't drink. Um, but regardless, standard things, champion celebrating, pop the champagne, pop the Perrier, I think they also had. Um, you know, because they can't afford champagne because they're going out of business, obviously.
Obviously.
Um,
Yeah.
But yeah, MJF comes down, as he does. He stooges it up, so to say. No, I'm so glad to be with the team. We're all celebrating. I'm celebrating joining the Hurt Syndicate because I can finally cut to the front of the line. None of this Owen Hart tournament shit. With you guys, I'm at the front of the line to get back my world championship. Lashley, Lashley, we said this last night. Smiles at everything except MJF.
This was so good. I loved this whole segment. MJF coming out and fucking smiling and stuff as he's right next to the Hurt Syndicate while they're all fucking looking at him. I I just loved it so much. It was like I posted a picture, but it was like a cat who vaguely looks like a raccoon hanging out in a like
Yeah, I
a
saw
tree
that.
with a bunch of other raccoons.
Yeah, it's like 3 raccoons in a tree and then one cat with like vaguely raccoon markings.
Yeah,
And it's like, yeah, that is the perfect metaphor for this thing. But yes, I'm
absolutely.
one of you. And I'm just, what the fuck is
Yeah,
going on?
he
But
thinks
yeah,
he's one of us.
Lashley eventually tells Max to shut up. They get into it. They have a really sort of, um, you know, obviously it was scripted, but it felt unscripted, sort of verbal jokes where they're shouting over each other. I think at one point in the melee, MJF started going off on Lashley's glasses, which made me absolutely piss myself laughing because they do like for a man who is like 6'5" and looks like he could run you over. Those glasses, it's like Clark Kent.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know.
so fun. It was so funny, and they kept saying Bob, Bob, Bob. It was fucking popping me.
Oh, brilliant stuff. But then obviously, MVP says you need 3 votes to get in. I'm obviously a yay. Shelter Benjamin says no. And yeah, MJF sort of, he's not in the Hurt Syndicate yet. I'm very intrigued as to what he's going to try next to try and win their approval. Or maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't even bother. Maybe he just says, you know what, then fuck it. I'm going to kill all of you. Um,
Yeah,
Very intriguing. Very good stuff. Um, and then next, I believe, after that segment, I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, next was Megan Bean and Penelope Ford backstage, cutting sort of your standard promo. Megan Bean
this was
saying
the
that
longest 5 hours of my life, dude.
I know it like
It's so
it
weird how
did.
this promo went on for like 5 hours. That's crazy.
Honestly, like I don't know, my pause button and rewinds button didn't know what hit it. Um, but for context to anyone who didn't watch the show, this was a very standard promo of Megan Bean saying like I will be back. Everyone will bow down, etc., etc. Jesus Christ, these women. Oh wow. Um, I talk a lot about sort of Carl Fletcher and my boyfriend and such and such. This is just a periodic reminder to me that yes, in fact, I do still like women. Um,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it yourself. You'll see what we mean. Um, but yeah, excellent. They should just make that the whole 2 hours. To be
Really
honest,
should.
you're going to the show in Boston. Would you be mad if they just said, "Yeah, we're just gonna have 2 hours of Penelope Ford in this getup, just talking at
I
you"?
would immediately upgrade my seats to front row. So that's how mad I would be.
Yeah, just thought, congratulations, all elite
Just
experience.
shouting at
Uh,
Penelope that my last name is already Ford. You know what I mean? So it's just like
oh yeah, that's a really good in. I could be like, "Hey, I'm also British." Um,
I'm also from Greece, but not really.
no, I could just be like, "Look, I'm just another Kit Sabian." Please
That's
like me.
right. That's right.
Um, But yeah, we should probably talk about the match that came after, and
Probably.
not just gush about these women forever. Though that would be more fun. I didn't hate this match though. This was
I
Chris.
thought this was a good match. I know we're gonna get into it. Thunder Rosa is inconsistent. I agree, but I thought that Chris can get a good match out of just about anyone. I feel like
Yeah.
she got a good match out of Thunder Rosa. I feel like Thunder Rosa did some good stuff here. I liked the drop kick. I liked the Canadian Destroyer. I liked the back and forth. The finish was clean. It was good. Toni Storm on commentary partially made this match. There's so many lines. Did you have a favorite line from her? Because she was the star of this match for me.
Oh my god. I'm trying to think. There were a lot of them. Um, you know what? I'm genuinely drawing a blank. It's one Tony Storm's commentary is one of those things where like it is absolutely hilarious at the time, and then like 50 minutes later, I'm just like, yeah, it was hilarious. Can I remember what she said? No, but that's fine. Um, was there a favorite? Jog my memory because I know you probably.
The
If you're asking
Thunder
me,
Thighs and Thunder Tits one with Tony Schiavone.
yeah, yeah, I get that.
That was really
Yeah,
good. That the commentary lost it for like a good 10 seconds. I was honestly
yeah.
worried they were never going to get it back.
Honestly, yeah, like that's just the Tony Storm effect, though. Like she goes on to commentary, and you know that within like 5 minutes, Taz is going to be absolutely corpsing himself. Excalibur's going to be crying through his mask. Tony Schiavone's going to be like flustered as all hell because there's something about Tony and Tony that just like I don't know. They have like that sort of chemistry where Tony could just take the piss out of him, and it's excellent stuff. It's a bit. It reminds me a bit of like Mariah and Nigel in a way.
Yes.
Where it's just like though less so because that's more Nigel being absolutely fawning over her. But Tony Schiavone has always been one that is absolutely down to have the piss taken out of him at any
Yes.
opportunity. And so Tony Storm is just the master of that. I genuinely have no idea if she prepares any of this stuff or whether she is just one of the greatest improvisational promos in the history of the business.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd be real.
she's just sensational. She always does an amazing job.
She really does. It's like, oh, I, she is one of those people where it's like, when she does eventually hang up her boots, though that's not going to happen for a long, long time. Obviously,
Yeah.
she's only what like 30. She's one of those people that will never ever struggle for a job in wrestling
She's not
because
even
she is
30.
the
She's 29.
Jesus Christ.
I know. She's not
Look at
even
what she's
30.
accomplished.
Incredible. Yeah. I think she's going to go for at least another 10 years or more, maybe 15.
Absolutely. But my point is like she's never going to want for work in the wrestling industry because she is one of the most creative and talented individuals that I've ever seen step out, on into a wrestling ring. Is the total package. She's even like even even her in ring work, which a lot of people would say, oh well, that's the weakest part of the timeless thing. She figured out how to make it work for her and put on excellent matches. Case in point, quite possibly the best women like American women's match of all time at Revolution. So like yeah, the total package, she's phenomenal. Um, just to briefly talk about the wrestling match that happened. Um, it was a good match, good back and forth. One thing I will say is when I am actively not liking a person, or not a person, but like a wrestling sort of character, especially when they are as protected as say Thunder Rosa. Good example of this is Chris Jericho against Bandido on the pay per view. It does add something to the near falls where I'm like, oh god, are they actually going to do it? Oh no, okay. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's a point in this match where she hits like a Canadian destroyer, and Chris Statlander kicks out at like 2.9, and there's a split second where I'm like, oh my god, Jesus Christ. Where I'm like, they wouldn't actually do it. But then they could do it because it's Thunder Rosa. She's a former world champion. But thankfully
Yeah.
they didn't.
Yeah. I
Statlander,
always knew that Stat was winning. I never really thought that Thunder was going to win. But it was still great. It was still a solid match, solid TV match. I liked it. I never really bought into Thunder winning, but they had a good match, good back and forth, like you said. Tony was, the star for me, like I said. Um, And yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Really good stuff. Just very briefly, because we do have still quite a bit to talk about, and we have probably about maybe half an hour left. Who do you think's winning the whole thing?
I think Jamie's winning it so she can come home the champ. I think they're going to do the same thing with Osprey.
See, my sort of thinking is if you do it with Osprey, you don't need to do it with Jamie. I've got Chris
Yeah.
Statlander. I've got Chris Statlander. Blah, 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 blah. I've got her winning not only the Owen, but beating Toni Storm. Just not even. I don't want to say as like a reward, but as a sort of. I've said this before. It's a recognition for being one of the unsung heroes of the women's division. You know, having incredible matches with Willow Nightingale, with Mercedes Moné, with Megan Bayne. You know, like she's a linchpin of this division, and she should be the world champion. You know, she should be the one to take it off Toni Storm, and I think she will be. And I'm really looking forward to it. Um, but yeah, just to briefly talk, Don Callis says that with all the injuries in the Don Callis family, they are accepting new members. Um, Josh Alexander, isn't it?
Yeah. I love the Osprey quote, where he's like getting interviewed and he's like, I don't know if it's Josh Alexander, but it'd be great if it was because we had those matches. Not that it is, of course.
Yeah, yeah, where he's like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see what Josh Alexander does in the company, and then it's like, I don't know, some sort of AEW PR person whispering in his ear, and he's like, oh, assuming that he signed. I don't know if he signed. Maybe he's not interested at all. You never know. It's like, yeah, okay, well done. But yeah, this is I should imagine setting up Josh Alexander and the Don Callis family, which I think is a great fit because I think Josh is I've seen a bit of his TNA work. I think he works very well in both roles, babyface or heel. And I think, yeah, for all of his faults, people with Don Callis tend to do very well. I think the Don Callis family is a sort of a sleeper pick for one of the best factions in AEW history, just based on the success of its members, the star power that it has. So, yeah, should be very good for him. Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, the Undisputed Kingdom, were backstage, sort of saying,
That's the Paragon to you, my friend.
yeah, no, I was getting to that because
I know,
that's
I
what
was
they
just
were
joking.
saying, like Adam Cole got his moment. Now, Roddy and Carl want theirs, and Adam Cole says, yeah, absolutely, you should go after presumably the tag titles. You are now the Paragon of professional wrestling. Great name. Um, I think that they will probably be sooner rather than later the contenders for the tag championships. Whether they win it or not, I don't know. You could definitely do that because I don't think you could get much more of a respectable in-ring tag team than Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. So, who knows? Maybe that is the way they go. But looking forward to whatever they do next.
Yeah, I love. Well, I don't know if I love them being called the Paragon, but I love I love that I believe it's a Mass Effect reference because when you are playing the good guy in Mass Effect, you're called the Paragon, and Adam Cole's a big
Yeah.
fucking video game nerd. I also think this is kind of a bummer, but like that this is their way of separating from Matt Taven and almost said Alex Shelley.
Yeah.
Matt Taven and fuck oh my god Bennett.
Mike Bennett.
Mike Bennett, thank you. How the fuck? Yeah, couldn't remember his name. Anyway, I think that just goes to show you how much I value them, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. They were solid mid carders. I think they could have stayed in ROH. I don't really know why they're gone. It feels like bad blood with Maria, but I have no idea. I I don't know. I would like to see them back on my TV. I think they were solid mid carders, but are they actually necessary? No, not really. I think the Paragon
Yeah.
is fine on their own.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe they'll do so. I wouldn't mind seeing Taven and Bennett as like the ROH Tag Championships. I know they've done that, but that's a good fit for them. I think they're good hands. I don't necessarily want them to go, but if there's nothing for them, then you should probably let people go if there's nothing for them. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. I want to talk about this sort of relatively briefly. So next up was the TV time with Chris Jericho.
Adam, I wasn't mad about this promo, but I was disappointed. I was disappointed.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I was disappointed. I was fucking disappointed. Oh, but like, yeah, it's an intriguing one because they did the whole thing of like, well, no, I lost my ROH World Championship to Bandito at the show, but that's he sort of says, well, that's on me or whatever. And then he sort of flips it around like, well, you lost as well. So I'm disappointed in you. And in fact, there's sort of one could make the argument, that Bandito's family were out there and they sort of stooged the match, restarted it, and maybe if you had been out there, it wouldn't have it wouldn't have happened that way. So in fact, really, one could make the argument that it's your fault that I lost. Really good sort of.
I loved when Jericho was like, "I'm not saying that, of course. I would never say that."
No, but one could say.
One could say.
But yeah, where were we? Sorry, this promo. I don't know. This promo sort of. I liked it in the moment. The more I think about it, the more I think, well, I would. I'm doing the classic internet wrestling fan thing where I'm like, well, they didn't do it how I would have done it, so I hate it. I'm joking, but
yeah,
I
liked it. I don't know. Like, I thought it was good. Like, they didn't exactly break them up, but they sort of shit didn't keep them together. So I thought that middle space was kind of cool. By the way, for people who don't know, Jericho is basically going away for a bit because of a Fozzy tour. Although it's weird because that's never stopped him before. But I guess maybe he finally can't balance the two, or he's prioritizing one over the other. I don't fucking know. Anyway, I liked this. I liked the promos. I don't know that it needed to be on Dynamite. I feel like you could have done this on Collision, but yeah, I don't know. It was good. I don't know how necessary it was, but it was good.
Yeah, he says that he's disappointed in Big Bill specifically. Like he very specifically says, "I'm disappointed in you. Fix this." So if you can't fix it, then I need to leave. And he smashes things up with his baseball bat. Get all that sort of mid-50s rage out, Chris. It's fine. It's not like AEW doesn't have the money to pay for a new TV or anything. That was one of the assets they were looking to sell off to keep the TV deal, but it's fine. But yeah, it's good. It's fine. It was one of the weaker things on the show for me. I say that while acknowledging that actually I have been more up on the learning tree in 2025 than I was last year. I think they've done a better work than last year. Ishii stalking excluded, because that is one of the highlights of. But like, talk about comedy. That thing had me absolutely rolling. I don't want to dwell on it too long because we do have a main event thing to talk about. Oh, briefly as well, we had a Hurt Syndicate thing. Lashley and Shelton said that they don't trust MJF. They walk off.
Although Shelton does call him a little George Costanza, and I loved that.
Yeah, he was like, little George Costanza is funny though. Which, yeah, brilliant stuff. They walk off. MJF comes in to talk about how badly the Lashley and Shelton are treating him. Bitching to MVP, and he's like, how dare they? I'm MJF, and MVP says, yeah, that's kind of the problem. Exactly how much of a scumbag you are. So maybe maybe try and tone yourself down a little bit. But he's, just a good thing to keep the ball rolling on this story. I'm very intrigued as to where they're going to go from here.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I thought this was good stuff. I think he's basically saying you got to do something that you think Bobby and Shelton want from you, and I don't know what the fuck that'll be, but I'm very interested to find out. But that took us
Yeah,
into our main
absolutely.
event.
Yeah. Took us into our main event. I did just briefly have a note here. Chris Jericho smashed more things and left. Nothing more to say about that,
What's
really.
funny is that my fucking Max like shit its pants out during this part, and like so all I saw was like a still image of Jericho with a bat, and it just like it kept going like stuttering and stuttering. Eventually, I just like unplugged everything, so I completely missed this segment. But I asked what I missed, and people were like, "Yeah, you just missed," Jericho freaking out and then leaving. I'm like, oh, okay, I missed nothing. So yeah, that
Yeah,
happened. Whatever.
literally, it was just him walking,
It's
and he
not
smashed a few
even
things.
it's not even put on the AEW website. Like it's literally not even on the Dynamite results for April 9th. So who
Yeah,
cares?
because it lasted like 20 seconds, and he just smashed a couple
Exactly.
things and got in his car and left. Which
Yep.
is, we are spending way too much time on this for what it was.
Yep. Anyway,
we
so the
spent
main event.
we spent more time talking about that than like we spent 5 times as much time talking about it than actually what happened.
And Adam is still talking about it.
Yeah. I know. I'm making a point. It's all your fault. You're a bad influence. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Um, sorry. So yeah, main event. Ox, Hook, and Samoa Joe versus the Death Riders of Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. That's my fault for trying to say that very fast. Um, you know, a good match, I would say. There was a bit on this angle. I think it was after the match, so actually we'll talk about it later. Just to say that like it was basically a standard sort of tag team match. I'm glad to see Joe in the main event, but there really wasn't a lot to talk about in this match. I don't know whether you had anything that you wanted to talk about.
I like this match. You see Hook learning from Joe doing the nope spot.
Mm.
Hook's suplexes looked the same as they ever do, which is good, but there's nothing really new to them. Yuta and Claudio had the solid tandem offense that they always have. A bunch of choking out happened. Shibata got his revenge on Mox, which nice, but still wish the match earlier had been longer. And then Samoa Joe cut a promo, called them the Dick Riders, which is great. Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was a good end to the show.
Yeah,
I liked it. Joe, really should always be in the main event, so I was happy in that sense.
yeah, absolutely. My thinking is like if you asked me to book a main event, sort of 10-minute tag team match between Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta versus Hook and Samoa Joe, I think I would come up with this match almost to a T. It is
Sure.
exactly what I expected of it. Nothing spectacular. Some good spots. There is one spot that I want to talk about after the match, which is they set up a chair. The Death Riders set up a chair on its on its sort of top, if you like, upside down. That's the word I'm looking for. With the spikes sticking up, and Claudio hits Hook with the neutralizer onto the chair, and there
Yes.
is like a centimeter clearance either side of Hook and the two spikes of the legs of the chair. And I'm thinking that took ridiculous pinpoint precision from both of them to have Hook not be stabbed in the stomach by this chair. I don't know. In the moment, I was like, oh my God, because it was just this recognition of like, that could have gone so wrong.
Yeah.
And like, props to them for making it look devastating while not looking deadly, literally. Um, just a brief note: someone did say that Hook was vomiting at some point during this match. I don't know whether he like got his bell rung or something, or whether he like I don't know. Wrestling is a physical sport. There's many things that wrestlers get hit with that would probably make me throw up. So I don't know whether he had just sort of an adverse reaction to something, whether he got concussed. Hopefully not that last bit. Yeah, I don't know. Did you see that?
Yeah, I heard about it. I didn't see it during the match, but I heard about that just from a couple of people. I hope he's doing okay. But he seemed fine. I never noticed anything, but I was a little distracted during this match, so I don't fucking know.
Yeah, like you say, a good angle. Joe calling them the Dick Riders was very funny.
Yes.
They're going after the trios championships, and I dare say, well, first of all, I will say if Joe is explicitly calling out the trios champions based on what happened to Pac, either they have a plan to fix that they've come up with on the fly, or maybe Pac isn't as bad as it seems. I don't know. It's not good to speculate on injuries like that, but if they're plowing ahead with the angle, they had like an hour and a half to not do that line if they thought that it wasn't going to be possible to defend those championships. So hopefully they've got something planned that will at least allow a decent handoff um, should the worst be, come to pass. Um, I think that no matter what, the Ops are probably winning those trios titles. I don't know what you think. Um, what do you think?
Yeah, I like that the Ops are setting up this title match. I think that'll happen probably at All In. It won't happen at Double or Nothing. I mean, maybe they do the TV match. I don't know. I don't know where this is going. I thought it would happen at All In, but the Ops are saying they want it sooner, or it seems like they'd want it sooner. But maybe it'll get derailed by Blood and Guts, and then that'll push it to All In. That's my theory. But maybe we do it sooner than All In. Maybe they do a Blood and Guts special before Double or Nothing, and then they do Double or Nothing, and they have the trios match, and then they win. I don't know. So something's gonna happen here, obviously.
What I would say is if they are doing Blood and Guts before Double or Nothing, that's a very quick turnaround in terms of just announcing Blood and Guts because they tend to like to do Blood and Guts in. Well, I don't think it's possible to do it in anything other than a big arena, just based on the size of the cage and such and such. So, maybe they announce that in the next sort of week or so that they're doing Blood and Guts. I should imagine it will probably be between Double or Nothing and All In, just because I think you'll probably get the Death Riders versus like the Op, maybe Kenny. But I imagine you'd want to also integrate the winner of the Owen into that, presumably Osprey. Um, I think they'll probably do Blood and Guts in June. So, we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing. Um, I could definitely see a world in which the Ops take the trios belt off the Death Riders at Double or Nothing, and that starts the sort of spiraling of John Moxley, where it's like, you know, we've lost the trios belt. I'm the only one with any gold here, and I'm being hunted by like Samoa Joe and John Moxley, not John Moxley, and Will Ospreay, and like that's the direction they go with, which I would very much be in favor of seeing. I think it's about the time where you start to get into the walls are closing in for the Death Riders going in
Right.
towards All In. But yeah, that is your Dynamite, which I thought was a really really effective post pay-per-view show. What did you think?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it was solid. Um, that was really solid. The promo segment towards the beginning, the 8-man tag, the Toni Storm stuff. Just there's a lot of good stuff. Nothing like blew me away, and we've had better Dynamites, but I thought it was solid stuff. The only weak point being maybe the just how long the match was, and of course Pac getting hurt, how long the Shibata match was, and Pac getting hurt, and that was it. Everything else was either good or great. So yeah, pretty happy overall.
Yeah, I would agree. I think a very solid episode of Dynamite where they very clearly set up a bunch of directions for people, which is what you want out of a post pay-per-view show. So yeah, all good stuff. And that should just about wrap us up, I believe. Did you have anything to add just at the end? I don't know, like your fucking other shit. I don't know.
I do a podcast with my friend Seb, and it's called The Gaming Lounge. We talk about games every week. Gets posted on Saturday. So I just want to plug that. Go look him up, Sebastian Cardoni. He and I do The Gaming Lounge, so it's a good amount of fun. And Adam, don't quickly cut away here or anything like that. But got some thoughts about the Dynasty main event. You want to talk
Right,
about
and
that real quick?
that will do us. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Modcast. Please no. Please fucking no.
Justin, hit the button quick.